My word for you is love. It seems that everything that you have done, in my limited knowledge of you and the experience that you've had here at Norfolk Christian, is that everything that you've done out of a deep love for your school, for the people around you, and you have influenced so many people in so many ways. And so I appreciate the love that you bring and you have brought to Norfolk Christian and to all the people that you've touched over the many years that you were here.
Hey, Sue. I thought you would enjoy seeing Mom and Dad while I was saying this, because I know that they would be saying it as well. Anyway, congratulations on an incredible career at Norfolk Christian. Thank you for all that you have put into the kids. I don't think anybody is going to know how much you have changed lives. And hopefully when you get to heaven, you will know some of the impact that you've had. If anybody deserves a well done, thou good and faithful servant, my friend, it is you. So God bless you, and we will keep the torch burning at Norfolk Christian. Love you.
My name is Dale Morrow, and I am class of 2016 at Norfolk Christian. And this video is just to show my appreciation to a phenomenal young woman, Sue Crouse. And she was such an inspiration to me while I was there. Not only was she an inspiration, but she always encouraged me to be the best version of myself. She always pushed me to be the best version of myself. And she always showed me what it was like to be a God-fearing woman, no matter what the circumstance. And for that, I just truly take my hat off to her. I love her, appreciate her so much. And she was just so motherly in how she nurtured not only myself, my brothers, my brother and his friends. And it just really felt like a big, happy family. So Miss Crouse, I just wanted to say I love you and I miss you. And we actually still keep in contact till this day. But I just want to speak to the volumes of the phenomenal young woman you are. So
I am so thankful for the opportunity to say a few words about my dear friend and colleague, Sue Crouse. I first knew her as a neighbor, and then as a colleague, and then finally as the teacher of my oldest son when he came to Norfolk Christian. He, like so many others, still lives by the financial advice that she gave him. I honestly am so very thankful that he took her class, because she just poured such good advice over her students. Sue poured herself into the lives of her students and taught them how to make wise, thoughtful decisions. We all benefited tremendously, either as students or as colleagues. We miss you greatly, we love you dearly, and we hope you have a wonderful retirement. You have left an important and valued legacy. Thank you.
Mrs. Crouse, Lisa Hatcher, your former student here. I just want to congratulate you on just your many years of service, and your retirement is well deserved. I just want to take a minute just to say thank you. First of all, for what you did in my life when I first met you and I had home ec class with you. And those skills that I learned in home ec class, by the way, it's probably the only class that I probably got an A+ in. So obviously you did something right. But I just loved everything I learned in your class. It was life skills. It's things that I'm still using today. And I still remember when we made the baked Alaska. That was so delicious. And I went back home and, had my mom buy everything we needed so I can make it again for the entire family, which they really enjoyed. But I also want to say that I went from being a student to years later us becoming friends. And it was such an honor to be able to walk alongside of you. Even as we did ministry together and supporting students, I really appreciated your heart for the kids that you had. I appreciated how you held them accountable. And you also had my kids, and the things they learned from you, how to budget, and just different things about finance that are once again life skills that they'll use forever. You have made a true impact. I know you also had my nieces and nephews. You've impacted so many people just in my family, but I know there's thousands of other people that you've really made a difference in their life. We have also had journeys together. And I think those are some of the things that have also brought us close. Certain things in our life that God was with us, and He allowed us to walk along these paths to support each other. And I just have to say, you've walked through the fire, and you have just shown Jesus so brilliantly through your trials. And I am just so excited to celebrate this time for you, and just want you to know how loved and appreciated you are by all of us. Enjoy this time, and we love you.
Students and teachers and parents who stand out in my mind from the many years of teaching at Norfolk Christian. In particular, from when I was a student, you know, I remember my second grade teacher in particular, because she taught me all the words to God Be the Glory. I still know that hymn to this day, all the verses. In my high school days, a real standout was Jim Hinshaw. And later, he also taught both of my children. One of the things I remember about him was he's so passionate about government and wanted his students to be passionate. And he used to prepare them for a competition called We the People, which tested their knowledge about the Constitution. And in the mid-50s, about the class of 94, 95, 96, 90, maybe 97 even, our students competed in that competition. And several years in a row, our students were the champions for the state of Virginia. One of those years, I believe our students actually, several, because if they were state champions, they went on to the national championship in Washington, D.C., which I think is really an accomplishment for Jim as the teacher, and for our students as well, that they really mastered the content and understanding our Constitution, which is so critical today. And then I got to work with Jim on the faculty. In my last year at Norfolk Christian, I actually was teaching Jim's grandson, who graduated in the class of 2019, Grant Hinshaw. So it's really a pleasure and a blessing to be able to teach the second generation of students at Norfolk Christian. There were people that I worked with and developed deep friendships with. Dave Bailey was very instrumental. He taught in the 60s math and physics and was really instrumental in my son's life. Jane Duffy was my daughter's fourth grade teacher and then became my administrator in the middle school. People like Debbie Carter, Anna Carter, and Sue Royster taught my own children, and they are there on the staff, although I know Sue's retiring, but were really strong teachers, both spiritually and academically. And my children reflect back on those teachers. I sometimes even share with my grandchildren, my grandson in particular, as he goes on to more advanced classes, about teachers that his father had, and just reminding him that if Dad struggled through a class, he can struggle through the class and make it and survive. So I really appreciate the fact that my children were able to experience the same Christian education that I experienced. in my years as a student at Norfolk Christian. There were several funny stories. I'm going to tell one about faculty member and our two faculty members in the past and that are no longer at Norfolk Christian, but we used to do a sort of a talent contest for the whole student body of the high school and the faculty. And Jim Hinshaw and John Elder were part of a group that used black garbage bags and I don't remember what else, and did a routine to the California Raisin advertisement. And I'm trying to remember the song they did it to, but they had us rolling in the aisles. Personally, in the classroom, I had a very funny experience. I think it was about 3 years before I retired. And I won't name the student, but those that were in the class and that student will know this story. They were getting ready to do some group work. So this student raised a chair over his head, above his head actually. And then suddenly I realized the chair was down over his head. His head was between the seat and the back of the chair. And I'm thinking, okay. And then I realized he can't get it off of his head. So it's down on his shoulders. Well, the students around him began to realize what was happening and they start laughing. And it didn't take but moments. The whole class was hysterical. I'm trying not to be hysterical myself and figure out how in the world we're going to get this chair off. So I go over and another student and I are trying to readjust the chair, try to get it off of the students over his head. We can't. So I try to calm myself down. In the meantime, I'm thinking if an administrator comes along, they're going to be thinking, what in the world did Sue Crouse let happen in her class? So I get to the phone, I get hold of Dana Posh, and I'm trying to tell her what I need. And she sends down Mrs. Jackson, the school nurse. Both of us sit this child on the floor and we're both trying to adjust the chair. We're both laughing. Finally, they send the maintenance staff, and I can't remember who came, if it was Bo Whittington or someone else. And they take a screwdriver and just take the back off of the chair, and the student's easily able to, get the chair off of his head. And I asked him at the end of class, I said, I'm sure your parents are going to hear about this. What are they going to think? And he goes, oh, they'll think it's funny too. So that student graduated just a couple of years ago. And a very, very bright young man. Probably he'll end up being an engineer or something one day. But yeah, we had a tough time. And I still don't understand how he got the chair over his head, but we couldn't get it off his head back through the opening. But that is one I will never forget. The first thing is I remember 1962. I'm trying to guess. I was in middle school, but we were at that time still at the elementary school for middle school. And it was about, I don't know, 6th grade, 5th grade, something like that. And so we would prepare for air drills and get under our desk. I very distinctly remember that. And then it wasn't much more than a year later, I remember our teachers ushering us to the gymnasium, everybody in the building to the gymnasium, like we do for a chapel. And the principal telling us that the President Kennedy, had been shot. And then we grieved as a nation. So as a teacher, it was also a very tragic event that I remember very distinctly. My Bible class, I've been teaching a Bible class, 8th grade Bible class in the middle school. And as classes were dismissed, I went to the hallway, and Donna Robb, another teacher, motioned for me to come over to the teacher workroom. And when I got there, there was a TV turned on, and it was just about the time that the second plane crashed into the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers in New York. I think as a teacher at a Christian school, our efforts were to ensure that our students understood that God was still in control, even though we had these very disturbing events happening around the world. I believe that's the same message that my teachers, my principal, my parents gave me when I was in elementary school, and world events were such that they were shocking. And today, that would be a reminder that God is still in control, no matter what's happening personally to me or in other places around the world or in our nation. Favorite things about teaching. The first one is getting to know my students. It was almost every year, it seemed, that I also would look out at my class and see students who I had perhaps taught their parents, or I had taught their older siblings. And it was really exciting and fun to get to know families or to reconnect with alumni that I had taught, and now I was teaching their student. Actually had the opportunity when I was teaching Bible in the middle school to teach all three sons of my high school English teacher, Debbie Sense, who was Debbie Leesburg when she was my high school English teacher. I don't even want to start naming the students that I taught that fitted that category, but it was a lot of fun and a real joy in teaching, and then getting to know new students. And another thing with getting to know students is remaining in contact with some of them that, text me or talk to me about college or their careers. I've had several students go in the military, either right out of high school or a couple of years out of high school. And even last November, I was in the parking lot at Harris Teeter, and I heard someone call my name, and I turned around, and there was a student that had graduated 2 years before, and he said, I've been in college, but I really don't know what I want to major in, so I'm joining the Army. My mother's a little upset with me because she would rather me join the Air Force and the Navy, and he is in the Army, and I think they've got him doing something with computers. I have another student that's on the brand new Ford aircraft carrier, USS Ford aircraft carrier. And then it's just been a joy, even last summer, to meet with a former student who was in town to sell her house and see her children, who are elementary children. They live down in Alabama. So that's a real joy. A second thing that I've really enjoyed professionally about Norfolk Christian is developing curriculum. And Jane Duffy gave me the framework for what she wanted covered for Old Testament survey, and then later New Testament survey. And then I was able to create the curriculum. And then most recently, I was able to create the curriculum for the personal finance class, and then match that up with the state objectives, and be able to integrate scripture with that, because there's literally hundreds of verses about money management. And I think I enjoyed teaching personal finance so much because it is information that everybody needs for the rest of their life. They can choose to use the information or not use it, but I knew that what I was teaching them was a tool that they could use to manage their finances and honor the Lord with their finances. I'm sort of divided into two parts. As a student and as a parent, I will be forever grateful for the foundation, spiritual foundation, as well as a strong academic foundation that I earned at Norfolk Christian, that I experienced at Norfolk Christian, because the teachers were focused on loving me and teaching me and disciplining me so that I did master the content that they wanted me to learn. But even more important, being able to integrate that with spiritual truths. And I draw on those verses that I memorized even as a child and up through high school. Bible memories, one of the foundational aspects of my spiritual training at Norfolk Christian, and also my children's spiritual training. And my daughter had a third grade teacher, and she used to challenge her students to do fighter verses. And I think Michelle memorized maybe 300 verses that year. There were students that memorized even more, and they could recall those verses. It was absolutely amazing the way she worked with them and reviewed with them. So that's very valuable, and I am very thankful for that. I also would like to say that that second grade teacher that taught me all the words, "To God be the glory." I mean, that's a hymn that is just a testimony in my life today. And I would like to say to the faculty, through the years, I treasure collaborating with you all academically, but most of all, praying for each other. And even this year, I've experienced prayer as I've been dealing with this cancer from the faculty and the entire Norfolk Christian community, including parents and students and alumni contacting me and saying that they're praying for me. It's truly been a blessing. And I would like to say to the parents that entrusted their students to me, thank you for sacrificing, and thank you for allowing me to teach your child. That's a real test for parents, to entrust other people to teach your children and be confident that they're teaching them the truth. Lastly, I would like to say to all my students through the 30 years of teaching, I love being in contact. So please stay in contact and share your life stories with me. It's really a joy to hear what's doing in your lives, or hearing about struggles that you're going through, so that I can pray for you too. And I just treasure the entire Norfolk Christian community. In the final testimony of my days at Norfolk Christian and of my life, I would go back to the hymn, "To God be the glory, great things he has done."